accident or arrested and need to protect your rights, I want to fight for you. Call me, attorney Chris Perrette at the law offices of O.C. Brown, 343-1111.
That number is 343-1111.
Find advice for both daily and traditional leagues, including which players to start and sit with the NFL Fantasy Forecast. Saturday mornings at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Hanny Time. Afternoon and welcome to Hanny Time 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Sandegriff, Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp with you this afternoon. Scott Rabalais in about 15 minutes. First class, second class, no class at the bottom of the hour. Get your clocks out. We may be talking a little bit about time management when we get to that. But we start with the game at Rupp Arena last night. The Kentucky Wildcats beat LSU 74-71. First of all, let me just kind of point out what a tough spot this normally is, and this is something that handicappers use a good bit, and it's got a very good track record, which is teams playing their first true road game. You know, Jimmy pointed this out to me when we watched LSU play Arkansas, and I was really surprised. So you got to remember, it was Arkansas's first true road game. Played some neutral site games, first true road game, and so you start there. Teams playing their first true road game have a difficult time, and LSU has been on the road for some neutral site games, but this is the first one. So saying that your first neutral site game is going to be at Rupp Arena means that your first acting job is going to be next to an Oscar winner. Okay, so you better be able to keep up, and LSU did. They went in there as a 10-point underdog, maybe a little bit better than a 10-point underdog. And they really battled with Kentucky. I understand that this is not one of Calipari's more uber-talented teams. This is not the Anthony Davis team or the team that took an undefeated record to the Final Four. But it's still Kentucky. They're still a very talented team. It's still Rupp Arena. He's still John Calipari. And your first road game comes at a time where Kentucky lost their first SEC game. And the last thing they want to do is open up the conference season 0-2 with a home loss to a team that's not expected to, although that expectation may be changing, of finishing in the upper half of the Southeastern Conference. I think LSU's turned a lot of heads the last week, but when they made the predictions before conference play, LSU was picked to finish 8th, so they weren't picked to finish in the top half. They battled Kentucky all the way for all 40 minutes. LSU ultimately lost this game because they got beat on the boards. They lost the rebounding battle 31-22, but they really lost the offensive glass. And Oscar Tshiebwe is the reigning SEC Player of the Year, and he is 260 pounds of muscle. When that guy anchors down, he is impossible to move. What he'll do at the next level, his offensive skill set and all that can be debated, but what can't be debated is at the college level, he is as dominant a rebounding force as there is in the game right now. And he's very, very difficult to scheme against because he's just going to move you. And a lot of it's legal. And listen, I thought the game last night, a friend of mine called me that hadn't seen the game. He says, well, what went wrong? I said, I got to tell you, I thought that this game was well played. I thought it was well coached. I thought it was well officiated. I thought it was well announced. Okay. I have nothing to complain about. All right. They both played hard. I thought the game was well. I didn't see any obvious coaching gaffes. The officials let them play. It's a Doug Schaus crew. They're going to let them play. And the announcers were fine. I have nothing to complain about. I would have liked LSU to win the game, but I realized what a task that was. So ultimately, the game probably comes down to the 10 offensive rebounds that Kentucky got and the putbacks that they got on those things. So, hey, listen, you lost a game by one possession on the road to Kentucky with that kind of effort and that kind of execution. I can live with the fact that, they made one more bucket than you did. KJ Williams was outstanding. You want your best players to step up in a situation where you need them on the road to provide leadership. Williams did that. They talked about his basketball IQ on the broadcast last night. And I thought it was real well explained, some of the things he does. But the one that you can understand the easiest is this guy almost never takes a bad shot. He misses like anybody else will, but he almost never takes a bad shot. So KJ Williams, you want your best player to step up in a road game like this. He did. Second thing is Adam Miller finally got some shots to fall. He was 5 of 13 from three-point range. He comes out and he hits his first one. Then he misses the next three, and I was nervous at that point. That's the first TV timeout, and I'm thinking to myself, he made the first one. He's got some confidence. He's going to be shooting tonight. He's going to put up 10, 12 threes, and if he shoots 2 of 13, they're going to be in a bind. Well, he kept shooting, but he made some. So that was encouraging. He was able to get off the shot. He's got a very, very quick release, obviously, but finally some of those things went down for him. Trey Hannibal's impact off the bench was mostly good. Hannibal is a really strong player. He's going to go to the goal. He's one of those guys that is going to get to the rim one way or the other. There are some other holes in his game, and it's why, probably he comes off the bench. But that guy is fearless. He's very strong, and he's going to get to the goal, and he finishes very well. The trade-off that you have to take with that is with that barreling style is going to come some turnovers. And he had 4 of them last night in an offensive foul when Sheway was the one guy who can get in his way, because Hannibal's about 215 pounds, and he's all muscle. So Sheway went and planted his feet right outside the arc and took a charge, and I was like, man, that's good basketball. That's a guy that knows he's going to the rim, puts himself in position, and is strong enough to take the charge. That's just good basketball. So with Trey Hannibal, I'm willing to take the good with the bad, because he gives them a confidence level. There's time when you go on the road for a game like this, it's easy to panic, and that's probably the thing that I like the most about LSU's game last night. They never panicked. They know they could go to KJ Williams to get a good shot. They know that they can get the ball in Trey Hannibal's hands, and they're at least going to get a shot around the rim. I mean, not make them all, but they're going to get a shot around the rim. Last night, you add to that the fact that Adam Miller was knocking down some threes. They never panicked, okay? A couple of situations in the game. About 5.5 minutes to go in the first half. LSU's down 8. Now, here's where the last 5 minutes of the first half, you can panic. You can put up a lot of bad shots. You can turn the ball over. And an 8-point lead can become a 14-point lead very quickly. And if you're down 14, 15 points at the half at Rupp, you're done. You're not coming back from that. You may make a game of it, but you're not going to win. Or you can do what LSU did, which was first possession after they got down 8, got the ball to KJ Williams. He got fouled, made the 2 free throws. Cam Hayes, by the way, Cam Hayes had a very loud 11 points last night. Hayes and Miller hit some threes. And even when Case and Wallace hit that 3 on the other side, LSU never panicked. They came back down, they got a good shot, and they made it. The last 2.5 minutes of the first half, the ball mostly stayed in KJ Williams' hands. He had 5 points, including the bucket to end the half. That gave LSU some momentum. They only went down 4 at the break. Okay, so you're down 8 with 5 minutes to go. What do you do with that last 5 minutes? Do you panic and start making a lot of foolish plays, start playing a little bit too fast, taking bad shots, turn the ball over, or do you settle in, you calm down, you refocus, get the ball to your best player, get some good shots, knock them down, and cut into the lead? That's what they did. They did a good job of this in the second half as well. So you get to the halfway point of the second half, you get to the 10-minute mark, and LSU's down 10. Again, at this point, if you want it to be a ball game in the last, after the last TV timeout, you've got to respond here. That 10-point lead can become 16 or 18 in a matter of 2 or 3 possessions. You go down and take a couple bad shots, turn the ball over. All of a sudden, instead of down 10, you're down 16, game's over. They didn't do that. They got another good shot. They went on an 8-0 run. They built the lead goes back to 6 with 3 minutes to go. So now you're down in real clutch time. What do? They get an open three for Cam Hayes, and he knocks it down. Like I said, Hayes may have only had 11 points in the game last night, but every one of those points seemed to come at an important time where they stifle that Kentucky run at about the 3-minute mark of the first half. The three-pointer to get them within 3 inside of 3 minutes. And then the second to last possession of the game, he takes a 3 and Kentucky makes a mistake. You force Kentucky into a mistake. They jump out into the shooter, and Hayes then goes and knocks down all 3 free throws. So now the pressure's really on Kentucky. They got the ball in. Took them 3 timeouts to do it, but they got the ball in. They made the 2 free throws. LSU didn't get the last shot. Okay, that happens. But I thought LSU did what they could, man. And if you watch that team, and there was a lot of chatter on Twitter, some national chatter like, hey, man, LSU going to be all right with Matt McMahon. Yeah, that guy's a pretty good coach. A pretty good coach had this to say after the loss.
The game was a little different than I expected. I thought both teams played better offensively than I was anticipating going in. I thought on the offensive end, we're on 50% from the floor, 11 to 25 from 3, 15 assists, 9 turnovers. That's good enough to win. We just weren't able to get enough stops. They hit some tough shots, but we finally I thought the last 8 minutes, we got better on the glass. We closed that gap a little bit, but Wheeler banks in the 3. Toppin hits the 3 out of the corner, just some clutch shots they were able to knock down. But I thought for the most part, our guys executed very well on the offensive end.
The Toppin shot was the one that I thought, man, look, you got to give credit over on the other side. Toppin doesn't shoot a lot of threes. He shoots about statistically, he shoots about 1.5 a game, and this was the only one that he shot here. The bank that Kentucky hit, LSU hit one too. I'm calling that a wash. Each team hit a banked-in 3 that neither shooter planned to put off the glass. So that's just a wash. But the Toppin play, which was at about a minute to go, a little over a minute to go, was exactly what you want if you're LSU defensively. You got the ball to a non-shooter in the corner, contested by Derek Fountain, who is 6'10". Now, Toppin's about the same size, about 6'9". The shot was a line drive. Fountain affected him. He closed out well. Kid knocked down a shot. Okay. I mean, if that's how they're going to lose at Rupp Arena, I got to kind of say you never want to lose, but it's like, look, if that guy hits that shot, you just got to go, all right, we got what we wanted. I mean, if Sheway gets loose for a dunk, all right, well, then somebody got lost and that just didn't work. Or somebody gets a wide open 15-footer. That's a contested 3 from the corner from a guy who normally doesn't shoot. Bummer, he made the shot. See him in Baton Rouge in a few weeks. Maybe he doesn't make that shot. I thought it was pretty good. The last shot, LSU didn't get what they wanted. They ended up with a 2 instead of a 3, which wasn't going to work, and it bounced off. McMahon talked about what they were trying to get with that final shot.
We wanted to try. So many times I see guys just sling it long and hope something works out. Because of the way we were playing it, we wanted Trey to hit Derek and then Derek to lead Trey up the floor. And as that ball was in the air, so the clock hadn't started yet, and we're advancing the ball, we were trying to have Ace screen in to flare KJ. So Trey's look was to catch and rip it up, and then if they were to switch it, Ace was just going to pop to the ball there for that 3. KJ 4-6 on the night. Sometimes bigs have a hard time guarding those flare screens. Got a decent look, but that's not a great spot to be in.
Not a bad strategy for what they were trying to do. They pass the ball on the baseline. They get the ball up the floor. I actually thought Hannibal was going to let it fly. Whether he would have made it or not, I don't know. But, I mean, he's not really a three-point shooter, but he would have had a look. But they're trying to get the ball to their best player for a shot in 4.5 seconds, 4.4 seconds, whatever it was. You do what you can. Like you said, that's not an ideal spot. Tigers lose, but encouraged by what I saw. Before we move on, there was news this morning that I'm not at all encouraged about, and that is news that Demario Tolan has hit the transfer portal. LSU linebacker who was, I thought, going to be a big part of their plans moving forward. I don't do every transfer portal story because there's too doggone many of them, and a lot of them are players that didn't play, players that didn't figure, and I'm not just talking about LSU, I'm talking about everywhere. I get the notifications however many times a day about this guy's in the portal, this guy's in the portal. Most of them, unless it's a monster name, I kind of let go because in a lot of cases it's people that are not in your plans for the future, didn't play a lot this year, transferring for playing time, injured, whatever. Tolan doesn't fit. And in most of these cases, these guys are expected to get into the transfer portal. I would say, in this league, maybe 20% of the transfer portal guys are surprises, and 80% of them are expected. If you're paying attention to the rosters throughout the year and the playing time, this falls into the 20% for me. This was a guy that Kelly went out of his way to talk about during the back half of the season that they were getting playing time for, that I thought was going to be a big part of their plans in 2023, and now it appears that's not going to be the case. I had missed it. We looked it up here this morning. I didn't realize he didn't play in a bowl game. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I was watching intently every play of the second half because the game was a complete blowout, and I didn't even know Frank Wilson's son was in the game at the point where he makes the interception. So I had missed that. I'll cop to that one. I didn't even realize he didn't play in the game. He's from Orlando, and the game's in Orlando, and he doesn't play. I probably should have flagged that in the post game. I didn't catch it. I'll be honest with you. I was bored with the game in the second half and was just kind of watching and going, okay, whatever. And miss it, Tolan. That's unusual for a kid that was coming on like that, and then to be in a bowl game in his hometown and doesn't play, and now he's in the transfer portal. That's a blow for LSU. So tell you what happens next with him. Scott Rabalais when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs with live music coming up starting tomorrow night with Jovan Webb, and on Friday, Alex Abair, and of course there'll be the usual karaoke on Friday night with the DJ. I say usual, sometimes on Thursday, but Friday this week. Saturday, the I-10 bound band will be in there for live music. Final Saints game of the season on Sunday means happy hour drink prices all day on Sunday starting at 11 a.m. at Big Mike's. Staple of the community in Denham Springs. A great place to meet for the game, to meet for lunch, to grab a drink after work. Big Mike's on Aspen Boulevard. What kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's AFR presented by Pluckers. Saints start getting ready for their regular season finale against the Panthers. We'll recap LSU, Kentucky, and hoops and preview Pels Rockets. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hannycast is up at 1045ESPN.com, wherever you get podcasts. We go through the week in the NFL. Plus, we talked about what some of the league's options are about the Cincinnati-Buffalo game and what will happen to the schedule. Right now, we bring in Scott Rabalais from The Advocate, fresh out of Orlando, Florida. Rabs, how did you survive all of the airfare? I mean, we're very curious. Did you get your bags, get back on time? I've already heard one nightmare from a member of the Baton Rouge media who will remain Jacques Doucet, that his flight got about 10 hours behind where it was supposed to be. But how'd you do?
You know, going over there was fine. It was like a normal day Friday, traveling on the 30th over to Orlando. Normal day, no delays or anything. Get to the airport yesterday morning for a 6:30 a.m. flight, and it's just packed with people. I'm like, it's the line to check in your bags at Southwest looks like the line in A Christmas Story when he's trying to see Santa. You know, you can't see the end of it.
They're leaving Disney World. The holiday is over. Back to school. Back to work.
Well, yes, there was that, but on Monday, there was some glitch with the air traffic control system in Florida, delayed a bunch of flights and bumped people back to Tuesday and stuff like that. So it was not Southwest's fault. It was affected everybody. The whole airport was packed in, but I made it through that anyway. So home for a couple of days and heading to LA for the national championship game this weekend. So just a touch and go, but it was better than I expected. That's for sure.
It's a nice stadium out there. All right, Scott, here's things I'm not going to ask you about. I'm not going to ask you about the game itself. I suspect that a LSU dominated would suffice there. So I really want to ask you about what Brian Kelly talked about after the game. There was two things that stood out. One, let's start with the quarterbacks. He said he expects all three quarterbacks to be there with them moving forward, and Jaden Daniels is the starter, but Garrett Nussmeier will have the chance to compete. In a time where you can't even get coaches to talk about quarterbacks 5 minutes before they go out on the field, that's a mouthful from a coach right after the bowl game with 9 months to 8 months to the opener against Florida State. What'd you make of that?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, clearly it's in his best interest and LSU's best interest to try to keep all these guys happy and on the roster. I mean, you never know what will happen. We saw several times during the season where Jaden got banged up and Garrett had to come in and play, at least 3 times, including the championship game. So you want a quarterback of his caliber on the roster. That said, Jaden is the more polished product. He's the one who's going to turn the ball over less. He's more dependable. Garrett can make the throws that Jaden can't make, but that's obviously not everything, especially since Jaden is such a dual threat. Brian Kelly, before he got into coaching, he was into politics. He worked in Gary Hart's presidential campaign in the 80s. But
Gary Hart lost.
Gary Hart lost. Gary Hart messed himself up.
Yeah.
But not putting that on Brian Kelly. But he's kind of a political animal, I would say. And this is playing politics right here, trying to keep all these guys on the roster. I think it's going to be very difficult to do. After spring practice, my money is on Garrett Nussmeier transferring somewhere, and then Walker Howard you back up, and I think Walker Howard is definitely going to stay because all he has to do is see, in that case, hey, Jaden's here one more year, then I'm the guy. I'm going to be the apprentice this year. So I think that would be fine. But we'll see. We'll see if we can pull it off. But as you said on your show yesterday, it's the most transferable position in college football, and it would be hard for us to buck that trend.
If they put 3 quarterbacks on the field in the spring and they have an open competition and 2 of them stay and 1 of them goes and they bring in a freshman to replace the guy that goes, that's modern college football. That's just how that goes. At this point, I trust him to make the decision on who the best quarterback is to play. I thought he made the best decision this year, and you move forward. That's not anybody's fault. The second thing, Scott, was, and look, the rumors went mainstream, so I'm not reporting anything that wasn't out there at multiple outlets. But when he was asked about his coaching staff, he said everybody was in good standing and they were moving forward. This would have been another question that he could have sidestepped very easily. He could have given a non-answer answer and said, listen, we evaluate everything at the end of every season. We get back to Baton Rouge, we'll get to work. And that would have left it hanging out there. He didn't say that either. He came out and said, nope, everybody on my coaching staff is in good standing and we're moving forward. Also, a pretty strong statement that he could have sidestepped if he wanted.
He could have, and Wilson Alexander asked that question. We got wind before the game that he would be willing to answer that question, and maybe was even eager to answer that question. So everyone's heard the rumors, and I will say this, Charlie, and I take it we don't want to mention names here directly or anything like that, because that's not necessarily fair to people. But if I've learned one thing in 30-plus years as a sports writer, is that the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle. I think there was something that happened. I don't think it was everything that has been rumored to be true. People tend to want to believe the most salacious thing, and they get disappointed when, I think, overall, when that's not true. I guess that's human nature. So, unless he's just totally just blowing smoke, and we see a week or two from now that, oh, this guy is gone and that guy's gone, and he doesn't have any viable prospects to be like a coordinator somewhere, or someone else, or with a bigger position, then we can call him on it. But for right now, I think we have to take him at his word, and the word is, he wants the people that are on his staff to continue to be on his staff. So you're right. He didn't have to talk about it, but I think he was eager to do so.
Yeah, it's very easy for college coaches to sidestep stuff if they want to. It doesn't even take any media savvy. You just you do your best impersonation of Saban. You just say we're moving on, okay, and you don't answer a question. He didn't do that. So give him credit for addressing the situation. Hopefully, hopefully that works out. As you look back on the season now. We did this on the podcast yesterday where I was looking at the lineup that was out there for Florida State and the lineup that was out there for Purdue and how this team evolved and how this team grew. And that's the mark of a pretty good coach, Scott. What areas most impressed you about the job that this group did this year?
Well, obviously starting from where they were last January in the Texas Bowl with so few the scholarship players. I mean, there were people who didn't play, like Garrett Nussmeier could have played in that bowl game. If they had the rule in place this year where it doesn't affect your red shirt, he probably would have played. But to go from that to still not totally full strength, he said the day before the game they had 65 scholarship players available. Maybe it wasn't quite even that. So to build that up and to bring in such a new staff, and you brought back a Frank Wilson, you kept a Brad Davis, but you changed so much of the support personnel to bring in players. I called the defensive secondary. It was the UN backfield. I mean, you had delegates from all over the map, right?
Yeah.
And to bring all that together and to win 10 games and to win the West, I think it was an excellent job. Look, Sonny Dykes is the National Coach of the Year. I got a thing about he's getting the Eddie Robinson Award. They're having a reception for him Saturday in Los Angeles. To kind of officially receive the award, and that's fine. But he did a very capable job in the first year, and it's got to give you, if you're an LSU fan, it's got to give you a lot of reason for hope for the future. If you do this with that, then what could he do once he gets a full roster and once they're you're really entrenched in the system? You know, Jaden Daniels just came in the spring and had no chemistry with a lot of these wide receivers and tight ends, and obviously you have a lot of weapons coming back on offense. And maybe you get rid of a little drama. It's not coming back with Keishon Butte. So maybe that's addition by subtraction, if I may say so. So I think people should be very excited. I think it's a team that's going to start next season in the top 10. They've got a legitimate chance to win the West because Alabama's lost a bunch of guys. I think everyone else is, we got to see what everyone else in the West can do. And it's I'm not saying this is 2019, Charlie, or anything like that, but like 2019, I'm getting a similar feeling. That LSU can get through this schedule and only lose one game, and most likely, Florida State and Alabama look like two of the tougher ones, then you can be in contention for a playoff spot, and I think that could be very true.
Yeah, Brian Kelly did an unbelievable job, but I got no problem. I would have voted for Sonny Dykes too.
Sure.
They were 5-7 a year ago, and he's got TCU playing for the national championship Monday night. No, he's getting my vote. All due respect to Brian Kelly and Willie Fritz and Lincoln Riley before the last couple of games of the season or whoever. Look, that guy gets the trophy. he did it. All right. So since you're going on vacation again, we should ask you for a prediction. I'm sure you saw the playoff games on Saturday. So give me your best call on TCU and Georgia Monday.
What a great pair of semifinals. And we finally got a good twosome of semifinal games on Saturday. I part of me, you got to go. Georgia, they're just so relentless. They don't overwhelm you. Like Tennessee with their offense or Michigan much of the season. But they're just consistently they're coming at you, always putting pressure on you. And they're very confident. They're on a roll. I mean, they've lost one game in the last two seasons. They feel like they're going to win. TCU, conversely, kind of feels like a team of destiny. Yes, I know they lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 title game, but they just have that feel of a team that came out of nowhere, and they're feeling it too. And they've got the better quarterback, I think. I'm still going to pick Georgia. I think probably not to cover. I understand. I read something from Darren Ravel. I said 93% of the money is on TCU. To cover. That's a lot, isn't it?
It won't stay that way. But yeah, if early money, it did come in on TCU.
I think TCU can cover, and I wouldn't be totally shocked if they win. But I just don't see how you can pick against Georgia. They're just on too much of a roll. Either way, Charlie, history will be made. Either it's the first repeat CFP champion, or TCU is going to win their first title since 1938. It would be the longest drought broken of any national championship program. So, but yeah, I got to go with Georgia. But I got to say in my heart a little bit, you got to like the underdog, and you got to like TCU, and hope they do well.
Yeah, the heart is one thing, Scott. But let me just tell you, every football fan out there that's listening here, and I assume most of them are LSU fans, Georgia winning does nothing to help LSU. This SEC, it'll bolster the SEC. The SEC is fine with their reputation. This does nothing to help you. So root accordingly, bet accordingly, do what you want, wear red, wear purple. It doesn't. But if you say, you need to root for the SEC because that helps LSU, it doesn't, okay? That's not my opinion. That is a fact. It does not help LSU one bit. They recruit against Georgia all the time. The more trophies they got to parade recruits past, the worse it is for you. There. I said it before I even got into the next segment. So, Scott, have a safe trip, and we'll talk to you when you get back.
All right, Charlie. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Scott Rabalais from The Advocate. First class, second class, no class is next. Is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
If you're a business owner and you're having some difficulties with staffing, well, this is among the most time-consuming and frustrating endeavors for business owners right now, because between the interviews, the background checks, the onboarding, and then the payroll expenses, this is taking up a big portion of your time. And it's, again, very frustrating. You get unqualified applicants. You get no-show interviews. Tiger Labor and Staffing is there to take care of all of these things for you. They'll take care of your screening, your training, your payroll, all of your employment expenses. You can get back to work. They can handle the interviews and the onboarding. You need somebody for a day, a week, a month, or longer. You can control your labor expenses. You increase your flexibility. If you need seasonal employees, they'll be able to help you with those things. And then it's a hot temp to hire option of only 60 days. That's the lowest in the industry. Looking for a job? Tiger Labor and Staffing welcome skilled and unskilled labor. Match you with a job that fits. Quick turnarounds on pay. Get your work done without the worries. Tiger Labor and Staffing. Go to tigerlabor.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
Join me, Jimmy Ott, for Game Time, live from Snow's Seafood and Steak, Airline Highway at Highway 74 in Gonzales. 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesday. Got a bunch of guests giving out picks. Game Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny Time. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Let's start with first class. Louisiana football, man. LSU, worst to first in the SEC West. Brian Kelly, we're going through that. Willie Fritz, biggest turnaround in NCAA history, going from 2-10 to 12-2, and that exciting Cotton Bowl win against USC. And then I'm going to throw the Saints a bone. They beat the Eagles, team with the best record in football. The Saints have won 3 in a row. Got a chance to win 4 in a row to finish the season. We're going to talk some Saints tomorrow. And then they'll try to figure out what they're going to do in the offseason. The Sean Payton stuff seems to have quieted down. And Dennis Allen finishing strong here, gets to the end of the season, and then they'll start prepping for next year, see what they're going to do at any number of positions. But Louisiana football in first class. Second class, I got a dual submission, but mostly it's Jacksonville. The Jaguars were 2-6 at roughly the midway point of the season. They've now won 4 straight, and if they win this weekend against the Titans, which I think they will, they are in the playoffs. It's hard to keep a team focused when you're 2-6. It's hard to keep a team focused when people are starting to talk about your quarterback. And this is as recently as 2 months ago. They were talking about Trevor Lawrence. It's like, man, is he closer to they were calling him Blake Bortles 2.0 down there. I mean, that was extreme, and I didn't believe it. But they were like, is he closer to Zach Wilson or is he closer to Joe Burrow? Well, the truth is he's not really close to either one of them. He's a million times better than Zach Wilson, and he's not nearly as good as Joe Burrow, though he's going upwards, okay? I think that's a heck of a coaching job by Peterson down there. It's a heck of a job by their guys. And my coach selection is Detroit, because Detroit, the Lions were 1-6. They've won 7 out of 9. Now, they win, they need some help. They need Seattle to lose, so they don't control their own destiny the way Jacksonville does. But you go 1-6, and then you win 7 out of 9. Give Dan Campbell some credit. So both of those teams have done a good job at the end of the regular season, the last 2 months of the regular season. Let's see if they can get into the playoffs. And I'll be honest with you, if I'm in the AFC playoffs, I'm not dying to play Jacksonville. I mean, I would rather play Minnesota in the NFC playoffs than Jacksonville in the AFC playoffs right now. And Minnesota's 4 games better than them in the standings? I'd much rather play if I'm an NFC team, I'll play Minnesota no problem. If I'm an AFC team, I'm not over anxious to see Jacksonville. And then no class. Man, look, it's hard to criticize a coach that's got a 45-6 record, I think, Ryan Day. But, man, watching that game the other night and watching the time management that Ohio State did, you got a 2-touchdown lead, man. You're playing the defending national champions an hour from their campus. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. I mean, listen, I know you're Ohio State and you blow everybody out, but this is not Rutgers that you're playing. You give them just an inch. You give them just a little bit of let-up, and they're going to come get you. And they did. Day's an interesting case. He's one of those guys that you look at the record and you go, man, look, what else do you want? And I don't think this is going to be the case with him because he's a much younger coach, and I think he's a better coach. But, they're starting to say, hey, look, man, look what he inherited, and look what he's done. Larry Coker did that too when he was at Miami. I mean, Larry Coker was the head coach of arguably one of the top 3 college football teams of all time and was out of a job shortly thereafter. Ed Orgeron was the head coach of a team that was arguably the best college football team of all time and was out of a job shortly thereafter. Is Ryan Day just inherited? I mean, is he born on third base and thinks he hit a triple guy. And I like him personally. He seems to do things the right way. He's certainly a more likable coach than Urban Meyer was. I mean, there are a lot of people that are more likable than Urban Meyer is. But honestly, when you're at Ohio State, you're paid to win 3 games a year. You're paid to beat Michigan, and you're paid to win in the postseason. That's it. The rest of them, I'm not going to say they give them to you, but Ohio State's uniforms can beat 9 teams on their schedule every year. I mean, Penn State, you got to hustle. Wisconsin, I think in most years you've had to, you got to come strong with that. Michigan State, every now and then. But for the most part, the Ohio State uniforms beat 90% of the people on their schedule. And don't point at the Luke Fickell year where he went 6-6 because that was a mess. That was a out-of-season firing and an off-the-field scandal that took – no, that doesn't count. In a regular year, if you are hired on time to be Ohio State's coach, there's a lot of coaches that could win 10 games a year there. He's paid to win the other 2. John Cooper is a great example for those that remember Cooper from back in the 90s. Cooper won about 75% of his games at Ohio State. I'm doing this out of my head, but his record against Michigan was something like 2-9. And so every year it was the same thing with John Cooper. LSU even made a run at hiring him when they hired Jerry DiNardo, but it was, you can beat Indiana. You can beat Purdue. Sorry, Gordy. You can beat Illinois. You got to beat Michigan. And now that Day's lost to Michigan twice in a row, and now that he's lost, this game in the playoffs, listen, I'm sorry. I thought he coached a bad game the other night. They were right there. They had a chance to win it. The kid makes a field goal. Maybe it's forgotten, but that time management left an awful lot to be desired. First class, second class, and no class is brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Your next gathering, make it Supreme Rice. It'll be carnival season before too much longer. You get on the parade routes. You get a little gumbo going on the parade routes. You get a little jambalaya going on the parade routes. Make it with Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers down in Crowley, Louisiana since the 1930s. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed down in southwest Louisiana. Pick it up at all your AG food stores, all of your Rouses, all of your Walmarts, including your Walmart neighborhood stores, and it's available in the New Orleans market as well. Make it Supreme Rice. For more information, great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com. We'll take a break, come back with some of your questions and wrap things up here. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice?
On Thursday's OTB, getting you ready for the final week of the NFL. Plus, Georgia, TCU, who's going to take home the natty? And a brand new Munchies with Chef Michael Johnson. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Congratulations to our first, second, and third place finishers in the Bowl Pick'em contest presented by Twin Peaks and Coors Light. First place goes to Matthew Thibodeau. He wins $2,022 cash and a pair of tickets to LSU's home opener against Grambling on September 9th, 2023. Second place goes to Elvin Gross. He wins a 2-night stay at the Beau Rivage and $250 spending money. And third place goes to Brianne Callahan. She wins a $200 Twin Peaks gift card and a LSU 2019 National Championship commemorative football. Congratulations to all our winners in the Bowl Pick'em contest presented by Twin Peaks and Coors Light.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hold that mic, Mario. Tonight, the Pels play the Rockets. They'll be without Zion Williamson. They're going to be without him for the foreseeable future. They're saying a minimum of 3 weeks with a hamstring. I'm really bummed for a bunch of reasons, mostly because they're having such a good season and Williamson was playing just so well. But I'm really bummed because I wanted to see that game Friday night against Brooklyn because Brooklyn is smoking right now. And that would have been, in the blender. It's the last game that they play at home for the next 2.5 weeks. They only play one home game. So that was going to be the kind of like the send off. I think it's 7 of the next 8 are on the road. I really wanted to see, Zion in that game. But que sera. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Mario. They're saying minimum 3 weeks with the hamstring. We all know about hamstrings. You got to let them heal. How severe is it? Don't know. 22 games and roughly 6 weeks between now and the All-Star break. How many games is Zion Williamson going to miss?
You said 22 between now
22 between now and the All-Star break.
Being optimistic, I would say 22. I think getting them back after the All-Star break is probably a best-case scenario. But like you said, with the Pelicans, the timelines and the injuries and how they communicate them, you never really know.
I'm doubling anything they say. I'm serious. I'm doubling anything that they say. And look, they're running a great deal down there right now. Everything's going positive. We got Ali Cosell tomorrow. We're going to run this by him. I just double whatever they tell me because generally that's the case. And Brandon Ingram has been out better than a month, and it's always, well, he's almost back. I mean, they're like the Les Miles of injury reports. Well, he's nicked. He's got 2 broken legs and cracked ribs. He's going to be out for the season, okay? I'm exaggerating, but just a little bit. So no, I'm doubling it. They're saying 3 weeks. I'm saying 6. 6 weeks gets you to the All-Star break. It's 22 games, plenty of season left after that. They've proven they can keep their head above water without at least one of their stars. Hopefully Ingram is back on the court this week. He is doing some basketball stuff. I'm hoping he gets back somewhere in the middle of this road trip. That's just a guess. But until I see differently, and it's not just Williamson. I'm not bragging on Zion. Zion's in shape. Zion's playing his tail off. I mean, this isn't his fault. He pulled a hamstring. Okay, bummer. But when they say 3, I say 6.
Yeah, fair enough. I think in summary, we'll go in depth with Ale tomorrow, but you've played well without Zion as of late. That's the good news. The bad news is the last time he, B.I., CJ were all on the floor together was November 21st.
Yeah, they spent 10 games of the season together so far. Hopefully, 10 out of 37. So when they get everybody back after the All-Star break, they get back before that, fantastic. We'll say, write that down somewhere. We need to remember that. Hunt Palmer is next for Taylor Sharp from Mario Jerez. I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. It's been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.